Hey. Listen, it is another Monday motivation time together. Do me a favor. You know what we do. Like, share, and tag. If anyone is close to a phone, that's close to the internet, whether you're wired in or wireless, do me a favor. Tell somebody the sort of truth is in the digital space, man. We are bringing clarity, confirmation, while enduring conflict and comprehension. So get somebody in this live stream for me. Would you do that for me, please? I'm asking you, I'm begging you. I'll even like you if you do it. I'll tag you back if you do it. Like, share, and tag right now. Find somebody that needs a word, that needs some enlightenment, that needs some encouragement, that needs some enrichment this tonight. So do that for me right now. We have a special time we want to spend with you coming tonight, man. It's a subject that I believe all of you will feel a part of some way, form, or fashion. Do it right now. Like, share, tag. Like, share, tag. Uh, um, for a few announcements. Of course, if you don't know, I need you to write this down. Write it down. Spell it out. Put it on every flyer. Put it in every social media outlet. Do it for me right now. Sunday, September the 24th. We are celebrating our man. There it is. That's the flyer, man. The flyer to desire. That's what it is. 16th pastoral anniversary celebrating Bishop Robert Christopher and Lady Trina Brown the third. That's what we're doing. September 24th, starting at 9 a.m. Our guest infuser will be Dr. Jonathan Pack. We'll be at 1125 West Evans Street, Florence, South Carolina, 29501. That's happening this Sunday. You want to be there, man. We're going to be there. We have a brown gravy T-shirt Sunday coming. Well, it's too late to get one. Well, you could probably get one when you get there, because somebody's gonna forget to get theirs, and we'll just have to sell it to you if you come. We're gonna be in our brown gravy T-shirt. We're gonna celebrate as best as we can. 16 years of pastoring, man. And you're saying, I know you're watching on TV and you watch some of the bigger names that are doing it, and you're thinking that pastoring is not hard. Well, I tell you what, if you don't think pastoring is hard, try to pastor you when you can't tell yourself no, when you're not obedient to yourself, when you don't listen to yourself. And then you can tell me how hard pastoring is. So we're celebrating our man and woman of God and their family, because they don't just pastor us as individuals. They have their children, their biological children, that they're also pastoring and leading and parenting. Um, uh, Also, so 16 years we're doing it, man. We're gonna do it bright and early, 9 a.m. Be there. I want everyone to pack the house. I want to be able to be. We used to pack the house back in the day, back on Third Street in Bennettsville. We used to have to put chairs on the porch and open the door so the people can get the word. That's what I want to happen. I want chairs in the foyer. I want chairs in the lobby. I want chairs in the cafe. I want chairs in the kids room. That way we can celebrate this man of God like I know he deserves. And so that's going to be my only one for tonight, because I don't want anything else to crowd your judgment on why you can't be there. All right, do me that favor, man. Have you done it yet? Is Trisha in the live? Let me check Facebook right quick and see if she's doing what she's supposed to do. And that's liking, sharing, and tagging, like she knows uh sort of truth is on. Let me see who else is on here. Let me get that in there. Come on, y'all in there. Y'all are in there. I'm telling you, like, share, and tag right now. Do it. Do it. Do it till you're satisfied. Whatever it is, like, share, and tag right now. This page right now. You know what? You know what? I'm trying to find you. Let me see who's doing what the elders asked. to do so. And listen, the man of God is on. He is going to be on, and we are going to be graced with a lovely young lady tonight that's going to help us lead. There you go. There you go. All right. So I'm gonna give my time over and let him do what he does, and that's makes sense out of my nonsense. And so he's gonna lead us further into this moment we're going to share. So it is in your hands, sir. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, it's R. Christopher Brown here. We're sitting in our usual spot whenever we're having our Wednesday conversation. And thank you for joining in tonight. It's a special Motivational Monday. It is a special edition. Now, we usually only do Motivational Monday second and fourth. Second and fourth. I believe the elder has already said that. Just the second Monday, fourth Monday is our usual Monday motivation. But last Monday, the second Monday, Elder uh, called me the month before and said, "Hey, I want to do for the month of September, since it's your pastoral anniversary, I want to do a Monday motivation entitled Behind the Robe." And I was like, "All right, well, okay, then let's do it." I wasn't quite sure what he was going to ask or what we're going to really talk about. And based upon what he did, what we did during that, and if you didn't see that Monday motivation, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It was a moment. A moment happened, and we were trying to give people a peek behind the robe of a pastor. And it just kind of got real. All right. Well, while we were all in that conversation, right after we got off live, my daughter said to me, she said, "Well, Daddy, let me get on it next time. I got something to say. I want to talk." And I was like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope. No, 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 no." For a few reasons. One, because I am very protective of my family. Love them. I don't mind people hurting me. Don't hurt them. You can hurt me, but don't hurt my daughter. You can hurt me, but don't hurt my son. You can hurt me, but don't hurt my wife. You hurt them three, there's going to be some consequences and repercussions. You understand? And so I didn't want her to be in the line of fire with what could possibly come based upon, her telling, her truth as it relates to her life as a PK. But she just insisted that she shares. And so I created this platform for her to share, and a couple of other PKs to share. We invited a few other ones to be a part tonight, and so we'll bring all of them on. Let me quickly say, because I see a lot of the Flowing Place. The Flowing Place Church is in the house. Shout out to the Flowing Place. They are currently in their exodus. They're heading to their new building and their new location. And Sword of Truth is super, super, super happy and excited for all of the Flowites there with the newly minted Bishop Timothy R. Newton, to whom we also absolutely love, and his ministry. And so I see a lot of them on, and Tim Newton Jr., Elder Tim Newton, minister, I don't know if it's minister or elder, but the psalmist, right? Tim Newton Jr. I usually call him the real Tim Newton, right? So Tim Newton Jr., he was supposed to join us tonight, but because they're in their exodus, there was they were waiting for a contractor to come, and he's a part of the point persons to make sure that kind of thing happens. That contractor has not gotten there yet. Now, if the contractor comes and he's able to do what they need to get done, he'll hop on. If not, then you'll have the rest of the PKs that are on here. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there first for in place, because I didn't want you all to be sitting waiting like, all right, so where's Tim Jr. at? He was accountable. He said it in time enough for us to, kind of rearrange close enough for us to rearrange a couple of things. But again, didn't want you to be sitting on and he not be there. But I think it's good for you still, Flowites, to stay on, because you're going to get a chance to hear about his world even if you don't hear about his world from his mouth. All right. So yeah, let's just stay on. Now, the other thing I want to say is, hey, Everett, Tamika, how are you? God bless you. Thank you for being on. I know you were tuning in for your boy, and you should. And I love the way you celebrate your son. I think that's absolutely awesome. Um, but stick around. We might be able to say a few things that can shed some light. Now, here again, like, tag, and share. I'm a PK and I'm watching CJ. Oh, so my wife is using my son CJ, who's a PK, is using my wife's phone. So Trina Brown is actually CJ comment tonight. But I do have two PKs that we'll have on tonight. And Elder Edie, he'll serve as a bit of a moderator. He's going to ask me questions. And you can start with me, by the way, Elder. And then he's going to go to them and ask them some questions. And then they're going to get a chance to respond the way they're going to respond. Here again, I'm not quite sure all Elder's going to ask, because sometimes he can ask some stuff and I'm yeah, right. So I don't quite know all the ins and outs of that, but I do believe that tonight is going to be beneficial for listen to me, who should be watching tonight. Let me tell you, every member of a church who pastor has children, you need to be watching. PKs can watch or should watch as well, because there may be some ministry that can happen that's therapeutic for them. And the parents, the pastors, you tune in as well, man, because you might not have known some of the things that they actually have to endure. Because here's something that my counselor said to me. Yes, I did say counselor. I see a personal clinical counselor because of then there's that. But she said to me, you don't know all the pressures that your children go through because you were not a PK. And it never dawned on me that I wasn't a pastor's kid. It didn't click. And so there are things that they have gone through and that they endure that I know not of. I've never had to experience it. And so that's enough of a precursor. Let's bring in the best thing that has, the second best thing that is, because I know my wife gonna have a fit. The second best thing that has ever happened to me since the Holy Spirit. I told her the other day. Well, I said it to her years ago, and I say it to her often. My father and I share the same birthday. My father died when I was 15. And so I never really celebrated my birthday anymore after the age of 15 until she was born. My daughter, she was born on my birthday, and it brought the sunshine back to that day for me. And so, yeah, she brightened up that day and brightens up my life every single day. I love everything about her. I love her entire life. And so the first PK we're going to bring to the front is Miss Zion Brown, the princess of the Sword of Truth in KFM. Hey, girl.
Hey.
The second PK that we plan to bring up is another young man to whom we've known now for a while. Absolutely love him. He's such an honorable and mannerable young man. We got to take the K off of him though, because he's no longer a pastor's kid. He's a pastor's adult. He grown now. He gotta apply for AARP. So he's one of the psalmists and servants, and I mean, just a wonderful, excellent young man. He does a lot of things for us for KFM. Brother Minister Elder, I can't remember whether it's Elder or Minister, to Merrick Jones. Bring him to the front. And so now the gang is all here. The gang is all here. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Elder Edie. That we're going to unmute your mic in just a second so you can ask the question, and then as whoever you ask the question, that's the mic that will unmute. But what I want to do first is give Zion and Tamaric an opportunity to greet everybody, and then just, whatever opening statement they'd like to make at this moment. So I'm gonna mute myself, and I'll unmute you. You don't have to worry about it. And when I point at you, you go and you can start speaking. I'm gonna start with you, Zion. All right. Okay, it won't let me unmute you, so you got to unmute yourself.
Okay, hey y'all. As y'all know, my name is Zion. I am 19 and I am a nursing student at Florence Darlington. Um, I am the daughter of the Bishop R. Christopher Brown III and Lady Trina Brown, and I attend the greatest church ever, the Sword of Truth, located in Florence. That's it.
All right, Tamaric, you may have to unmute yourself. I don't know if I can or not.
Hey everybody, my name is Tamar Jones from the great city of Timmonsville, South Carolina. I'm under the direct leadership of my parents, Bishop Willie Jones Jr. and Pastor Regina Jones. Thank them for allowing me to come on here and do this with Bishop Brown and the Sword of Truth. I am from the other greatest church in Florence, South Carolina, the Favor of God International Worship Center, located on 1401 West 7th Street.
Well, all right. You all have heard the introductions of these wonderful people. I'm seeing some people pop in. We got some Sword of Truthers out there. Deacon Shatter, good to see you. Kanaja, good to see you. My spiritual daughter, who I absolutely love, Bishop, the newly minted Bishop, Delia Jenkins, she's out there. Chandra Douglas, God bless you. Make sure you home of the whirlwinds. That must be to Mark. It might be you. Timminsville, that's right. Who else we got out there? We got the superstar. Superstars out there. Sharonda Ballard, who's another PK, PA, Pastor's adult. Freddie Blast, all of you, thank God for you. And CJ, thank you, sir. We love you. Elder Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you, and you can lead us from here.
Thank you, sir, for allowing me to be on. So if y'all hear some noises in this room right here, there's a Godzilla of a rabbit in here moving around, and so I'm scared. So please. But anyway, listen, it's an honor and a privilege to do this. So let's give the first question to you, sir. Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 11, 28, he talks about the pressures of the churches. He talks about being stoned 3 times, being shipwrecked, being in the perils of the wilderness, being hungry. And we're talking about the pressures. And then he says also the pressures of the church. And you have a beautiful church here in the house with you. One of the things that Paul doesn't talk about is the pressure to parent that church. And here in the 21st century, it's not like what we grew up in. And so I want, for you as a parent, those pressures to parent nowadays, this church, such as your daughter, such as I guess he would be the AARP PK kid, such as that, to bring them up in fear and admiration of the Lord. What kinds of pressures do you feel to, one, not close them off from the world, but then protect them as they're going through the world?
Man, that's a very good question. It's loaded. It's loaded, but it's a very good question. First, let me shout out Bishop and Pastor Jones and they're friends of mine, and my brother and sister. We absolutely love them. Thank you for allowing your boy to be with us, and always letting us have access to him. That speaks volumes to you guys, and man, I can't wait for more fellowship there with the bishop and the pastor, prophetess Jones. Okay, so let me start by saying this. First, I wish I could take the credit for all of what I'm going to say, but I can't. My mom, when we were coming up, my mom was a minister in the church, a prophetess in the church, but my mom did something that a lot of other in that day and time, I mean, we're talking 1975, 1980, 1980, in that realm, that day and time, it was strict holiness, man. Those folk was speaking in tongues in Piggly Wiggly. I don't even know if Piggly Wiggly exists anymore. Piggly Wiggly, they were doing those kind of things. And we went to an old holiness church where the mothers had doilies and stockings and that kind of thing. And I'll never forget, when we would go home, Mama would never lord, I guess, over us Christianity and or sanctification. So much so that when school dances came, some of the other kids in the church, they couldn't go to their school dance. Well, Mama never stopped us from going to our school dance. We went. When I got a little older and could kind of drive and, wanted to go to the club with my friends, she let us go to the club. My mom's only stipulation was, if you go to that club and you get in here past your curfew, one, I'm gonna whip your butt because you passed your curfew. Number two, you getting up to go to church next morning. I don't care how sleepy you are. And so that was just how we were raised. And so I was exposed to not just gospel music. I was exposed to R&B and country and pop and those. That's why sometimes now when I preach, I can bring in some of these different things because I was just so inundated and allowed to do that and free in life as I grew up. So whenever I started having children, that was an imprint on me. So I never tried to make them just love God and serve God and listen to Christian music and have them sitting in corners and praying hours because I'm praying for an hour. I want them praying for an hour. I did none of that. As a matter of fact, our world here, I tried to make it as whimsical and as free as I could with censorship. So I would listen to the music with him, and I say, now, that kind of music, don't play that because it's going to die. But the other thing, go ahead and listen to it. And then I would even sing it with them. We dance, we'd have fun. If they were going to certain things that Christians said they couldn't go to, I let them go. I'm like, no, go ahead and go, because we trusted them. And so I tried my best to let them have levels of exposure so that they wouldn't feel deprived of what life actually is and can offer with Holy Spirit, linked in and involved. Here again, my hand was on them to guide, but it wasn't on them to lord. So as Zion got a little older, now I'm doing a lot more advising than demanding. If I ever make demands now, she'll follow, but she knows I'll only demand if I know that no, that's not it. But otherwise, it's like, okay, now here's what I advise. You do this or this, whichever one you want. That's what you do. So we try to make them have what they have. As a matter of fact, I'll turn on R&B in here. I know the church probably going to come for me and kill me and put me on the stake. They already don't think I'm saved anyway. They call me the hip hop bishop, but I don't care. I don't care. It don't matter to me. It don't matter to me. Say what you want to say about me. Just don't touch nobody else. Right. But we'll put music on in here when I'm cooking. Sure. I'm putting on old school R&B and I'm dancing and we doing. Matter of fact, my kids know my age music. I love it because they don't want me to turn it off. They dancing with me because the music they listen to now, I don't know what these people, they got Tourette's. Now, what is that? Is he speaking in tongues? I think that's tongues. I think they're trying to play with the Lord. Then I start quickening because you know that's heresy. Don't play with God. Now, but anyway, so it was difficult, but it was okay because I felt like let them be children. They got enough life to live to be serious, quote unquote, with God. And before I knew it, they fell in love with God the way my mom let me fall in love with God before people got involved. And so now their relationship is their relationship, and I didn't force it. He just wooed them in. And I think you're ready to cry. I tried to be an example in front of them. My wife tried to be an example in front of them, and they walked that same path. So I'm done. I know I'm a little long-winded, but if anyone's out there who is a pastor and you have children, do not take away their childhood. Let them be children. Let them make mistakes. Let them fall without having the world already has them held to a standard that they don't hold their own children to. Don't you hold them that high. Let them be kids. Let them be children. All right. I think I'm done.
Thank you for that exhortation. It's good to hear you talk, sir. So my second question is going to go to Miss Zion. Since we are since we're talking about pressure, let's continue in that vein. And because I know your life, you are a budding career woman. You are you have one foot in the world. You have another foot. You have another foot in church. You have your heart is with your Father, and there is a call on your life at such a young age. Tell us, is there a lot of pressure to produce when it comes to your life, and then you're connected to one of the most prominent bishops here in Florence and on the East Coast, soon to be the world? How much pressure is that on on you as a PK?
It's a lot. It's a lot. Um, it's kind of unfortunate, but whenever I introduce myself and people ask, like, because sometimes my name sounds familiar, so they're like, who are your people? I'm like, well, my mom's Trina Brown. And so, yeah, I know Trina. She's a teacher. I was like, mm-hmm. And it's like, but your dad is a pastor, right? I'm like, yeah. That's also you a PK, so you wow, you do it. No, I'm not. I don't do none of that. So it's like it's kind of hard to shift a narrative that's already been in place. So I have to do the utmost around people. Like I can't say too much about today's topics, or I can't really talk about, today's music or anything. So like whenever I say anything about today's music, it's like, oh, so you listen to that. You listen to that? Yes. Like, what you want me to listen to? Marvin Sapp all day? No. So it's like no. So it's really hard. So I have to, for me, I don't know about Tamiri, but for me, it's I have to go the extra mile every time whenever I do something. It's always, and then it's in the eye of the public. So I feel like I can't mess up either because I already have the narrative set that PKs are this wild, you know, unhinged people. So I can't mess up. I can't slip up. I can't do anything because I'm already that narrative. I already done lived it. I just lived it just now. So it's hard to actually be myself. If that makes sense. So yeah.
It makes great sense. It makes great sense. And so with that PK, turmeric, with that PK abbreviation on your name, um, what kinds of stigmatisms that you feel like are put um, on PKs that's different from any other child? Can you talk about one or two of those things?
It kind of go back to some of the stuff Zion was saying, like being PKs or having that title. The first thing people ask us is, oh, especially our last names like stick out. So, oh, you Bishop Jones' son. Oh, you the PK. So in the world, PKs are the worst ones. The PKs do everything under the sun, but what their parents do, and so kind of it's almost like Zion said, we're not allowed to listen to today's music. We can't go to college parties. We can't hang out with our friends at a local bar. We can, and in their eyes, if they see us there, we're drinking, we're smoking, we're doing all this stuff, and our mind is nowhere near that. We just want to be we want to level. We want to have balance. That's the word I want to use. We want to have balance. We don't want to always be stuck in church, if that makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong. I love church, with all my heart, but I feel like sometimes you got to have that balance to where outside of church you can hang out, have fun, but still uphold the standard of what our parents raised us to be, what our parents taught us to do. So behind closed doors, or if our parents not around and they see us at a bar or something, oh yeah, I seen Zion at the bar, or I seen Tamark at the bar watching the game, or just chilling, talking with their friends. They have the utmost respect. They said yes sir, yes ma'am. It's kind of like those kind of things. We're not allowed to do the average stuff that a non PK can do, and it's like we don't have the chance to be, like Bishop said earlier, we don't have the chance to be kids. But like I said, our parents, Bishop Brown, my parents, they raised us. They gave us they exposed us to certain stuff to where if life throws us a curveball, we know how to handle it.
Yeah, that's great. Great, sir. Next question. Next question. Going to Zion. Has it ever been a time, or even if it's still a time, where you feel as if there's an imbalance between, or unbalance between, father and pastor in the home? Has it ever been? And then how did you approach that to come to your father and say, hey, I need, how do you fix that when you feel that?
And you could be totally honest.
Of course. I think my daddy, to me, my daddy's a goat. So it's like I can come to my daddy about anything. So it's like that I need to talk about, can I say the S word? I need to talk about, sexual interactions. Like I need to understand, like, why should you have this during marriage? Teach me, why should this be just a marriage thing? And he's just like, okay, let's talk about it. But it's from a dad standpoint. And he was like, so as your pastor, this is how it looks as well. So I don't think it's so much of me having to tell him. He already, since him being who he is, he already has that, if that makes sense. Because he's just like that. So it's like, I'm like, Dad, I need to talk to you as my daddy. Now, sometimes I will say that. I'm like, Dad, I need to talk to you as my daddy. I don't need I don't need that, right? I don't need the Jesus part. I need my daddy. So it's like sometimes I will throw that in, but other times he knows whenever I bring up a topic, he knows who to present to me.
Okay, great. So this next question is going to Bishop. In your extensional schedule, because I do know we have some pastors on here. In your extensional, I mean, it's very intensive. Um, uh, all the little dots on your calendar. How important is it? How important is it? And you could rate that for you to parent in those moments, such as that when she needs to talk. What kind of pressure are you under at those moments, especially when you have to divide time, or do you divide time? Just help us, walk us through those moments in parenting.
So I vowed whenever we started pastoring that I would make sure that I would not cause my children to hate the God that I serve because they feel like that God took their daddy away. So I tried my best to make sure that they knew that they were, for me, a priority. And I also knew that God says that he doesn't want exclusivity. Unfortunately, what some pastors end up doing is making God exclusive. And the Lord never told us to make him exclusive. He just said, make me first. That's called priority. That's not exclusivity. That also means that within priority, there's also other priorities that can fit within there, because God does not have and or is short in confidence in who he is. And so I ensured that I put enough time in with them when they had I don't think I've missed in the 19 years Zion has been alive. I can probably count 2 events in the 19 years that she's been alive that I missed. I would not schedule an outside preaching event unless absolutely necessary. Bible study, I would go to her cheering event, because I was a cheer dad, and I'd sit out there and watch her cheer all the way up till it was about time for Bible study and a little after. Then I'd hop in the car and run down and do Bible study if I didn't have anybody standing in for me for that particular night, because I wanted her to see me in the stands. I did that so much that there will be times when Zion used to say to me, and even CJ, and I'm gonna get to him in a minute, she'd say to me, Daddy, it's okay for you to miss this because, you know, you've done this, you've been there, I'm good, da, 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 da. I'm really okay. I know that you love me. And that only gave me more fuel to say, yep, I'm gonna stay right here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna be right there. I'm gonna go see all that, because it's just, for me, it was important. Now, yes, there are those times, because I teach this, when I had to go, but because I put in enough time being there, my had to go did not snatch away from her feeling secure in who she was. And so she started loving the God that I love, because she realized that God wasn't trying to take her daddy away, that God really loved her as much as he did by ensuring that her daddy would be around, you know, for those kind of moments. My son, he started playing football this year. JV football. He started actually last year, but this year JV. So the game's on Thursday. His very first game was a couple of weeks ago. Wilson Tigers. I'm a Wilson Tiger now. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm a male golden bear. Don't get it twisted. I'm from Darlington. I'm a male golden bear. I bleed black and gold. But because my son is a tiger, I'm a tiger by way of him. But at any rate, he had his first game a couple of weeks ago. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna be at your first game. He gets in the car and says, now, Pop, Daddy, you don't have to be there the first game. I know that you got to go off and preach some places, and I'm good. I'm okay, Daddy. It's all right for you to go. You don't have to come to the game. And I said, no, son, it's your first game. I'm gonna be there. Lo and behold, someone calls me and says, I need you to come preach. It's an emergency. We need ... I need you to fill in for this and do that. Can you come? And I said, what day is it? They said Thursday. I said, what time? Because now I'm trying to figure out how I can make it all work. And it's the exact time that his game starts. And I told that bishop, and they honored and respected. I said, sir, if it were not for my son having a game, I'd be there. But my son's game is tonight. And I want him to have priority. I promised him I'd be there, and I'm gonna be there. So I turned down the engagement so that I can walk into his life and be there for his life, for his destiny. His destiny was much more important than that engagement. And I mean destiny in the sense of he knows he has his daddy's support, and that secures a young man as they're growing for their destiny. I just thought it was too important to do that. And so if I can make it work, I schedule around their things so that I'm there. I took my kids, and my wife won't mind me saying this, every first day of school since they started school, I was the one who took them to school. I delivered them to school their first day. Well, definitely Zion. Now, CJ, because he was going to my wife's school, she started taking him when he got to her grade. But with Zion, I took them their first day, every single time, because I needed them to know that their daddy cares and that their daddy was going to be there. Parent conference, I'm there. CJ has one tomorrow. I'm there because I want them to know that they are important. I don't care how tired I am. I could have just gotten off a plane. I'll never forget that. I remember flying in and went straight from the airport to one of Zion's games, tired, but I was not going to let my tired influence my decision to sit there in those stands to be there with her. Because if I had enough energy to go preach to people who may not ever remember my name, but I can't muster up enough energy to sit in the stands with a girl who looks at me as her everything, then my preaching was in vain. So I sat right there, tired, and watched it. When they ask me questions, I end everything and answer their questions. The only time I don't is if it's in something that is super important. But again, I put in enough time that I can say, give me 1 second. Let me finish this and I'm coming.
Thank you, sir. I'm pretty sure you just freed a whole lot of parents that believe that the gospel comes before parenting. I think you just freed a whole lot of them. All right, Tamara, I need you to answer this one, and try not to. You do know this is a nationally syndicated, holy, holy broadcast. So here's my question to you: growing up, now that you are a bit older, I know that you have heard some things through the years and through the grapevine about your parents, that at the age that you could not answer them. Now you can answer them. How did it make you feel when you heard those things about your parents, but you knew your parents? How frustrated did you become with the church? And then how are you handling those moments now that you know a little more?
Thank you for telling me this was a national show. Because coming up, school, just in the streets, you hear your parents' name, and God is still working on me. I'm kind of a hothead, so when it comes to my parents, I'm extremely, absolutely protective over them. So you don't even have 3 seconds to get no words out about my parents before I'm ready to go upside your jaw and dislocate. I'm just being real. Hearing stuff like that at that age, me being young at that time, I didn't know how to handle it because a lot of stuff I was hearing, I wasn't able to comprehend and, accept what I was hearing and have, even if it's not true, because I was so young, I wasn't able to, you know, handle stuff in that manner. Me being a kid, you know, me hearing stuff and me knowing my parents, knowing the integrity, the character that my parents possess, just still hearing that stuff, it kind of bothered me, because I know that half of the people that said stuff about my parents were the main people that my parents, you know, helped pray out of situations. You know, you stuck on the side of the road, he in bed, he coming with a gas tank to get you some gas, and my mama not saying nothing, being a supportive first lady, she let them go. And so for me to hear that and know who the people are, you know, not saying the specific people, but just knowing who the people are, and you see them, and it's just like you forget everything that my parents done for you. And now that I'm grown now, it's kind of like I have to be level headed, because now it's to the point where I kind of, in a sense, my pops need me in a sense, and I can't afford to, you know, let what people say, cause like people say the saying, they talked about Jesus, so y'all talking, then y'all gonna keep talking, he gonna give y'all something to talk about. And the good thing about it is, if y'all talking about him, that means he's doing something good. He doing something right for y'all, for his name to be in y'all mouth, for her name to be in y'all mouth. So it's kind of like now I have to be level headed and just accept the fact that they gonna talk. They gonna talk about my parents. They gonna keep talking, and my job is to, you know, let them know that it's not bothering me, and that, you know, I'm still working on that. Like I said, I'm very protective over my parents, but my job now, being 27 years old, is to, you know, accept that, you know, move forward, and don't let people see me bothered, because when they see me bothered, that's when they're going to continue to keep talking and just come up with stuff.
Thank you, sir. Zion, now listen now. Now, don't you miss him, because I know you. Don't you miss and do it. All right. I'm going to ask you the same question. As a PK growing up, coming through, now that you know what you know, how are you coping with the conversations that you now hear? How are you matching? How are you maintaining support for your parents with those same conditions?
This topic here get my blood boiling. Only because, like Tamarick said, I am very protective of my parents. And if I'm not there, who's going to do it? People are so fickle. So it's like, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it every single time without a question. So if they need something, best believes I ain't going to be there, because I done seen so and so promise my daddy, you know, Bishop, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and I haven't seen them since I was 13. So best believe every single time my dad needs something, I'm gonna be there every single time. So it's like, I put it in the chat. I'll get in the field. Now I'm with Tamarick. You know, I'm trying to be all level headed. Yeah, cool. But I'll get in the field about my mama and daddy. Because at the end of the day, they might be your pastors, but they're my parents. And I don't play about my mama and daddy. I don't do it. So I I just do not do it. That's just something I'm not going to tolerate. You don't play about your parents, I don't play about mine. They just so happen to be pastors.
Okay. Thank you for being censored for the people. Now, sir, with you, what kind of advice would you give in that instance, to where your child would come back and say, "Hey, such and such child told me this," or something she heard? What kind of advice can you, one, give to parents and to the PKs to kind of help to where they are not turned off by this gospel and what God has given you charge with.
Y'all did good. I was sitting here like bracing myself because I was like, "Oh Lord, what are they gonna say? How? What, oh Lord, how are they gonna answer that question?" Now, here again, guys, I don't want y'all to feel like you got to be too censored because somebody really needs to hear truth, even if that truth is somebody's exact description. The truth is the truth. Uh, but it'll be able to give some child and even some parent a chance to be free tonight. If we're going to do it, let's do it to where people have an opportunity to be free. So, I mean, of course, don't go too far, but open up and say exactly what you meant. But you did really well. You were very diplomatic, and I appreciate that. One, because I heard Tamarick, I thought that was just so powerful. He was like, I would respond like I want to respond, but I realized my daddy needs me. Nah, you almost made my eyes sweat when you said that, because I think I'm pregnant or something. I'm super sensitive right now. I'm crying about everything. I just start crying. I'm like, oh Lord, what's going on? Right? You hit me. You hit me in the heart, sir. You just did. And then of course, even with Zion, I know her, and I know how quick she is with. She was very, 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 very. Her mom must have said something to her prior to her getting on this live, because that was super sensitive. I wasn't expecting that at all, at all. Oh, funny story. Then I'll answer your question. When Zion was 3 years old, they put on a play at our church. One of the elders that was at the church at that point, they're no longer there now, but that elder, he was playing me. He was acting me out. And he got up there and started trying to act like me, doing certain things with me. And so, the church was laughing because he did something kind of comical. And Zion sat there still, and was looking straight at 3. Did I say she was 3? Maybe it was two or 3. It was right in there. She was 3 or 2, right in there. The girl sat there stone-faced, looking straight at the dude. And she said, "I don't think that's funny. What y'all laughing at? That's not funny. That's my daddy. What y'all laughing for?" And I pulled her close to me and I said, "Baby, it's okay. It's not okay. They're picking at you. I don't like," Trina and I had to talk to her all night long at the age of 2 or 3 about them acting out something that was picking at me. She didn't play then, right? So what I've done for number one, I never, even now, because now she says I'm older now, so you can tell me stuff. I never let them hear anything coming from my mouth about anything or anybody at the church. They'll never hear it from me. They'll never hear it from my wife. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget a couple times she was driving and somebody called me and they started, in on what was going on with them. I said, hold on. I put my earbuds in and put it in my ear, and she kept nudging me, talking about, no, let me hear it. I'm old enough, I can hear it. But no, let me. I was like, no, you're not going to hear this kind of stuff. I never say it. We never say it. Trina and I never talk about it. We go somewhere else. We handle what we need to handle. Then we come back to them. Unfortunately, other people don't do that. They talk and let their kids hear. Their kids then come back and say things to them, my kids. Now, they've not quite said it to CJ yet. CJ's never come back to me about anything yet, and I'm so glad, because they think Zion has a temper. Zion ain't the one. CJ has a temper that is almost uncontrollable. I'm praying. Y'all pray for the fella. He's the nicest person you'd ever meet. Make him mad. It ain't pretty. He has me and his mama in him. That's compound. But at any rate, she came and she'll say, "Well, Daddy, they said ... They did ... and what?" And I will always say to her, "Baby, number one, They're people, and people have their opinion about any and everything. I know that this time the opinion was about my wife or I. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do what Jesus teaches us to do and what I do. You forgive them. Now she's still working on that forgiving side, but she at least listens and won't go off, on the deep end or fly off or do those things that she says. I said, now everything in my heart is saying, I don't believe these Negroes are saying that in front of their kids and letting my kids hear that. I mean, like you went and got a PhD in dumb. But at any rate, my heart is saying all that, but I'm like, oh no. I do my best to protect their dignity in the eyes of my children, even though they don't have any. I do my best to put dignity back in the eyes of my children for those who don't have any dignity. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for making sure they know what's right in the eyes of God, even if that other person don't take that responsibility. And I can't account for what comes out of other people. The only thing I can account is what comes out of me. And I say that the reason why she's doing that little lean like she just did is because when she comes to me and says those things about what they did, I'll look at her and I'll say, you never heard this before, but let me give you a bit of wisdom. You can't account for what comes out of them, but you can account for what comes out of you. If they're going to act like a plumb fool, and then you act like a plumb fool, then both of you are fools. If they're going to be a fool, let them. Because who's more the fool? The fool or the fool who follows the fool?
Well, that is just that is just wisdom, sir. That is just wisdom. That's just wisdom. Again, I do understand. Well, no, I don't understand. I can feel that pressure to prioritize what is important in the moments that you're in concerning your pastoral duties and your parenting duties. And so we got time. I don't know how much time we got. We got time for two more questions. I'm gonna ask two more. Who went last? Okay, Zion. Have you ever felt, since we're in this on the subject, have you ever felt unfairly treated? Unfairly treated. Since you are the bishop's daughter by someone in the church, such as the getting away with something. Have you ever been unfairly ridiculed by the church because you're the bishop's daughter?
I don't think I have. Only because my church is full of thugs, y'all. Like, my church don't play. So if I was to do something, they'll be right behind me. So it's just like, I don't think I've been ridiculed before. But maybe outside of my church, yeah. But inside, absolutely not. Never will I ever be ridiculed. But I don't know if I'm answering your question. Maybe being treated unfairly. There have been instances where some of my friends will be planning something, like they'll go to maybe, okay, so say if they're going out to eat to the mall this way, but it's like, Zion, you can come to the mall with us, but I don't think you want to go here because this gonna be playing, this gonna be playing, this gonna be playing. And it's like, what are y'all talking about? Like, I want to have fun too. I want to be there as well. So it's like, I don't feel like, I guess I don't feel like a kid. I feel like I had to grow up and go ahead and just, let's just go ahead and mature. Let's just go ahead and get this over with, because there aren't people my age that see me as a child. You get what I'm saying? Like, they don't see me as somebody that's willing to have fun, or somebody that's willing to go anywhere, because it's just my title. Or another funny thing, and I'm pretty sure Tamari heard it too. It's like, they're like, we're going this way Friday, but I'm sure Zion got church, so I ain't even gonna ask her. First of all, we don't even have church on Fridays. My church is big on football, babe. We're out. I can go. So it's like, I don't even I never once I heard those sly remarks and started to feel those people out, it's like I never asked to go anywhere anymore. I always stayed home, or I always went with my parents somewhere. So it's like, I guess it's not being treated fairly. So I would just stay with my parents, stay home, stay busy with church, or stay in school, because it's like, what else is there to do? Because it's not like they're going to invite me anywhere, because they feel like I'll taint their fun because I'm saved. So,
Okay, you know, it is amazing to see you grow up. Tamara, all right. So Zion's response was diplomatic. Thank you, Zion, for answering that so eloquently. So Tamara, um, uh, somebody else's child throws a rock, breaks a window. You throw a rock, break the same window. Will you do you feel like the other child will get a more lenient sentence than you, versus what you would get? Is the fact that you are a PK, is the sentences the same, the punishments the same?
So, quick story. A situation happened, and it blew up on the big screen. Went viral all over Facebook. Just went viral. I mean, any place you can think of, it was there. And a couple of months before that, it happened to another PK. But that PK isn't well. I guess you can call me well known. That PK isn't well known, but because it happened to me, Tamar Jones, Bishop Willie Jones' son, Regina Jones' son. Oh, they got a growing church in Florence. Oh, he the pastor's son. He's not supposed to fall. They don't even know if the stuff was true, but because I'm Bishop Willie Jones' son, I'm connected to him. It blew up in a way unimaginable. Like I said, life went downhill, and so to answer your question, for us PKs, we can do the same thing that somebody else does, but because we're PKs, it blows up to a whole different magnitude, to the point where they won't stop talking about it. Like, still to this day, I can go somewhere and the situation that happened, they're still talking about it, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm me. I'm here. If it was true, I wouldn't be here. So I let the truth. My dad always taught me, you let the truth stand for itself. The truth is always going to be the truth. And I always lean on that. And to this day, when people come to talking about that, I'm like, that wasn't tomorrow. That wasn't me. I'm here. So for us PKs, I feel as if we really can't do what other people do, or if we do something, ours get blown up to a whole different magnitude just because we have the title Zion Brown, Tamar Jones, Bishop Brown daughter, Bishop Willie Jones' son. they don't let us live that down. They hold that over our head for the longest, and they keep talking about it. And so for me, I'm just at the point where, like Zion said, I'm learning to be comfortable by myself. If it ain't with my family, I ain't really too much doing that, because at this point, you really can't trust everybody with your heart, with words, because they take it and run with it. And you really can't. It's a lot of people out here you really can't be vulnerable to. So it's kind of like you stick with the people they got your best interest at heart. So with that, I kind of let people, I kind of just let people still talk. They're gonna talk. It's gonna be out there, and I stick with what I know is true, and I know that I'm a man of God. I'm a husband. I'm a father, and at the end of the day, as long as God love me, God look at me the same way. My wife look at me the same way. My parents look at me the same way. I really don't too much care how the world look at me.
Bishop Brown.
Tamarick, let me dip in there real quick, Elder. First, let me say, I'm super proud of you, son. I mean, when I say son, I mean that protectively, not possessively. I know you Bishop's son, but I look at you as that as well. But let me first say, I am proud of you for making that statement. Now, I didn't think you were going to go there, but I'm glad you did. I'm certainly glad you did. Thank you for that, for so many reasons. One, you don't ever have to hide from anything that has taken place in your life and with you and around you. I remember when that thing came out, and I didn't have your number then, I don't think, but I inboxed you and reached out because my thoughts were, whether it was right, whether it was true or not, it doesn't matter. He's a young man. And that young man, like every other young man, deserves love and deserves somebody to reach around. As a matter of fact, that particular year, I said, you're going to come take pictures for us. I want you to come do, because I needed you to know that everybody ain't talking about you in that regard. Now, let me also quickly say, because certain things just kind of light my fire. That lit my fire, because for me, if your child does it and you bring it to us, we cover. If our children do it, you don't cover. As a matter of fact, you share it. It becomes paparazzi. It gets into the hand of vloggers, and then they create private chat groups. Now, you don't want your daughter or anything they might have done wrong in a private chat group, but you'll toss ours in there. You don't want your son face plastered on certain Facebook pages, but you'll do our son like that because of the name. Now, let me help some of you jealous, don't even have a clue what it takes to do and be what we are, people. You're angry at some level of notoriety that you think we have. And your attempt to hurt them is your attempt to try to come for us. And that sounds like you need Jesus in another kind of way, because unfortunately, the world didn't share the live or the post or the status. The church did, because you feel like if you pull somebody else down, you can come up. And I've never seen anybody make it to the top pulling somebody down just to get there. I want to say real quick, and then son, I'll give it back to you, because I'm kind of warm, and I'm super protective as well. I've already said in the onset, hurt me, don't touch them. So I want you to consider that they're humans just like you. They have lives just like you. And what if you become responsible for pushing some child to commit suicide because you are unrelenting in your uh, sharing and coming for those babies? I'm sure Tamarick had to deal with a lot of mental anguish and distraught. Thank God for good parents, because if he wouldn't have had good parents, you would have had this boy kill himself over a lie because you thought you had something that could pull down his father or pull him down. Young man, that's why God anoints you the way he anoints you. That's why you do the things you do. That's why you have connection and influence the way you have. That's why you get access to things that other people don't, because you survive the slaughter and what the enemy meant for evil, what he thought was going to destroy. It's going to be the platform, sir, that you stand on. So you no longer have to be embarrassed of that. Make that pain pay, because if they're going to give you the pain, you might as well turn it into a catapult and not a guillotine. If they're going to give you the pain, you turn that thing into a catapult, not a guillotine. I believe in Tamarick Jones still. And I didn't believe it when I saw it. So then there's that. Leave our babies alone. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Well, you pretty much answered that question. Parenting through that, and um, that response was adequate for the question. Um,
I believe they got some questions in the chat. I thought I saw one, but it's so far up there now. If you put a question in the chat, put it back in there so that we could see it. I got caught up. I'm sorry.
no,
I told you I'm protected now. I do what I do.
yeah.
I do what I do. And so, then there's that.
All right. So the next question, it'll be our last question for the night, but it won't be our last question for life. And so for each of you, I want you to give a word of advice, since you were raised by such wonderful parents that stuck by you, that prayed for you, that covers you, that provides for you. Since you're such wonderful parents, I need for you to give some advice to another PK that may be struggling at the moment, and um, they need encouragement. They need to see another light. I need you to give them something from your heart that's going to help them, from each one of you. And then, Bishop, I'll put it back in your hands to close us out. And so, whoever can go first, well, ladies first. Um, you go, Zion, and then Tamara. Thank you.
Um, one thing that I was thinking about on this live is especially to the PKs, and I've had this asked to me whenever I went out to college. I'm not going to disclose her name because my daddy. I'm not going to do that. But they asked me, what do you do in ministry? Like, I mean, I do praise and worship, and I do media a little bit, and I do administration a little bit. But of course, that's back office, so nobody really sees that. All they see is praise and worship. So they're like, "What do you do in ministry? Like, are you ever like gonna preach? Are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do that?" And my question to that, to help all other PKs, is you don't have to do anything in that church. The biggest job that you have done so far was give your parents to people who aren't appreciative anyway. That was your biggest job. So When somebody asks you, what is your responsibility in ministry or what do you do in ministry? I give my parents to you. That's my job. Because at the end of the day, sometimes I don't have my parents because my parents taught on relationships the other day. I can't go to my parents and ask them, hey, I need help with a research paper. Can you help me come up with a topic? Because they're helping you with a topic that you could have just went back and listened to. I can't ask my dad, hey, daddy, how does this look on me? Or because, me, I'm asking my daddy anytime, how does this look on me? Like, how does this look? Or what should I pair with this? Because he's trying to help a young man stop from committing suicide. He's trying to help your son from misbehaving in school whenever you could have just had him in church listening to him when he told you that the first time. My job is giving you my parents because at the end of the day, you don't have to have them. That's what they want to do. But at the end of the day, those are my parents. And my job is to give them to you. Anything else in ministry is a plus. So.
My advice to PKs, I know coming up, we were kind of not forced, but at the same time, if we lived in our parents' house, we had no choice but to go to church. My advice, and I'm still working on that to this day. A lot of people look at me and think I got it all together. I'm just this super saint, but I'm still working on it to this day. So my advice to PKs is to not get to know God for yourself. You ain't gonna go to heaven because your mom and daddy say you. God is when your day come, God is not gonna say I'm gonna let you into heaven because your daddy the bishop, your mama the pastor. That's not gonna happen. You got to get a relationship with God for yourself. Another thing. I know with me, I looked at my pops inside of the church as my dad, and so that prohibited me from receiving from him as my bishop. So PKs kind of differentiate your parent from your pastor because that can kind of hinder you from receiving what he has. I know, like I said, for me, it was kind of hard for me to receive from my pops because I looked at him as my dad. So I was kind of familiar with him to being my dad, not my bishop. And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm learning. I catch myself sometimes calling him bishop, even at home. It kind of be funny, but at the same time, I be trying to get myself out of just him being my dad because at the same time he's my spiritual father as well. So he feeds me when I need. He prays for me. He's out here praying every morning for me. So it's kind of differentiate mom and dad from bishop and pastor.
So I guess you want me to say something after all that. Come on, man.
If I say something, is that I'm pulling the network. I'm pulling all the network plugs out if I say something. So you go ahead, sir.
This has been a very heartfelt and tear-jerking almost conversation. But it's real. And I don't think that we need to just have one conversation. I think maybe we need to have another, possibly even another, because who gives solid preacher kids, solid pastor kids a voice? And by the way, there's a difference between a preacher's kid and a pastor's kid. If a person preaches and they have children, yes, they go through, but they do not go through if that kid has a pastor as a parent. And who gives the pastor's kid a chance, solid pastor kids a chance to speak? and to tell their side of the story, their perspective, from a solid place. I heard them say this over and over again, and I want to address it. And then I'm going to get that question. I did see it. They said that, I'm not there yet. I'm still, I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. Ain't nobody there yet. I don't care if they Jesus' second cousin. They ain't there yet. We all have sinned and fallen short. None of us get it right every single time. And so then there's that. If you're there yet, you're dead, because that means that flesh no longer has a chance to influence. I ain't planning on getting there yet until I'm 105 or 110 or 120, and or I can no longer be intimate with my wife. Then I might as well go ahead and go to heaven, because that's the only heaven on earth, in Jesus' name. Well, then there's that. Okay. But other than that, other than that, other than that, we're all here, and we're all going to make those mistakes. So it doesn't matter whether you're a PK or just a K, you're going to make a mistake. All right. To that end, okay. Because what we are supposed to do with mistakes and sin is what sin is. I know the way we preach sin. I get it. And this is not a time for doctrine, so I won't get too much in doctrine. But if we really utilize it for what it can be utilized for, it's supposed to be lessons that we understand what to avoid and what not to avoid. Because sometimes it's difficult to determine what's hot if you don't know what cold feels like. It's just kind of difficult. And some people can't use a description. They may need a feeling. Here or there. Now, I'm not saying that means take a go sin card and go sin. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if we sin, that sin is supposed to help us learn what not to do, because it's detrimental to me, not because I'm going to be looked down on people. The more we make it don't sin because people are going to look down on you, the more they're going to do it. So shift and change that whole perspective about that. Now, to the question, it was, how do you deal with a pastor who talks about leaders to their children? How do you deal with a pastor who talks down about your son to other people who don't know your son? You really want me to answer that? I don't know if you want me to answer that. I told you I'm crazy. If there's, because this goes both ways, by the way. If you're in a church and that pastor is dogging your child, then here's always been my thought. You can't love me and not love my child. So if you don't like my child, deuces, because I'm not going to let my child be abused by you, Negro or negrette, whether it's male or female. We're gone. And I'm going to leave quiet. I'm going to leave respectfully. I'm going to do it the right way, but I will not subject my child to being abused by a voice that's supposed to be building them. Now, let me hurry and say, make sure that it's abuse and not correction, because the pastor also has to have the right to correct what some parents are not willing to address. Now, because that child never was addressed in that particular area, it may feel like abuse to that child because the parent never touched it. So make sure that it's abuse and not correction. If it's abuse, get up out of there. Find you a church with a pastor who loves and loves on them. Every child that comes to my church, my current church already knows they're all my kids. So I treat them all like they're mine. I'll go pop them. Here are the, I mean, I just do. I'm crazy like that. I just do. We're going to get pulled in the office. I'm going to have a couple of conversations with you. It's going to be all of that, right? Go find you a pastor who loves on your children as if they were theirs. But before you do that, you make sure that that pastor is not just correcting them and they don't know how to handle correction. Because here's an unfortunate truth. Because there's not a lot of men in many kids' lives, well, typically parents and children can't handle the authority of a father's voice. They're only used to the milk of the mama's breasts, but not the authority of the voice of a father. And sometimes if you're not used to that authority can feel like abuse. But make sure that you're differentiating between those two quadrants. And if they're abusing them, get up out of there last week. If not, you make that boy sit right there or that girl sit right there until that pastor gets up out of them what you cannot. And then I'll just leave it at that. I hope I helped. I hope I answered. Listen, guys, here's what I need you to do. If Tamaric and Zion blessed you, I need you to heart this thing up. I need you to drop some stuff in the chat for them, encourage them. It takes a lot of courage to do what they did. I guess we don't have to do this again. Tamaric, if you're willing to come back up, we'll pull you back in. Zion, if you're willing to come back up, well, I know you're willing. Tim Jr. said that he's ready for the next one because it's the thing that happened with the contractor. Maybe we'll pull in another pastor's kid or two here or there, maybe even another parent that's a pastor so that they can give their perspective as well. It won't have to just be me doing the talking, but I see something therapeutic happening with this. And so I think we need to do it again. So yeah, drop something in that chat about them, what they said, and also go on Facebook, man. Pastor's kid gets such a bad rap. Why don't we make tonight the kind of night while you're watching football, a night to give pastor's kids an uplift? It doesn't just have to be Zion and Tamaric. I want it to start with Zion and Tamaric. Get on your personal Facebook page. Say something that they said. Put a quote out there that they said. Big them up, do that kind of thing. But don't just stop with Zion and Tamaric. If you know another pastor's kid, pump them up tonight. That might be something that's going to save their life tonight. You don't know what they're battling with. You don't know what they're fighting with. You don't know what they already heard since Sunday. It's Monday. It's Bloody Monday, not just for a pastor, but also for the pastor's kid. Maybe tonight they need to see that their name was tagged and something good was said about them, that you believe in them, that you're praying for them, that you thank God. Do whatever you can in order to ensure that you pump up a pastor's kid. What did I ask you to do? Two things. One, I see you're already doing it in the chat. I hope y'all can see those chats popping up in there. They're bigging you up. Drop something in the chat, heart it up, encourage them in this live. The second thing I'm asking you to do is go on your personal Facebook page, tag their name and some quote or something that they said that blessed you. Oh, I did give a third. The third thing, find another pastor's kid. Tamaric, you and Zion, y'all do it too. Encourage your constituents. Find another pastor's kid, tag their name, and say something nice about them. Pump them up before the night is over so that we can encourage all of them. Elder Kevin, as always, sir, I appreciate your willingness to be and do everything that you be and do for my family and for the Sword of Truth. Let me give a quick shout out to this young man, Elder Kevin, so that you all can understand, those who feel like he has favoritism, and he does because of what he does. I mean, it just is what it is. It does it. Amen. Anyway, I needed to get to Charlotte today. I didn't have my car. My car was in the shop, but I got it out the shop now. Optimus is in the parking lot. My daughter had to go to school. My wife had to go to work. I didn't have a car. He made sure his family had vehicles. So his wife had a car. His kids had cars and had to get wherever they got but he didn't have a car. Let me tell you what Elder Kevin did for me today. I didn't even know he was going to do it. He went and rented a car from Enterprise just to take me to Charlotte for an appointment that I had. Had no clue he was going to do that. And drove me up to Charlotte, drove back here, jumped on this live, facilitated this, missed his appointment to turn the car back in. That means now he's paying for 2 days just to take me on one day. When we get back on next Monday dealing with leadership, I need to have a conversation with some of you who swear out you want certain positions, but you don't have the capacity to sacrifice at the level that you desire for a particular position. And he calls me dad and sacrifices like a son. That's why he gets son privileges. And so I just wanted to shout you out, sir, on this live, and appreciate you for doing that. I got to try to get you some of that money back, man, because, you know, I didn't know you were going to do it. I didn't tell him to do it. He wanted to do what he gets to do. That's next week, though. I'm sorry. Tune in next week, Motivational Monday, Behind the Robe, so we can talk about some of these leadership. Now, he crazy. He crazy. He ain't perfect. He does some stuff. He done been cut every which way but loose. But he's an excellent young man, and I believe in Elder Kevin Eady as well. I trust him with my life. If anybody could do something to take me down, Zion can attest to this. Elder Kevin Eady can. He knows way too much about my life and has way too much access. Last funny story. Zion and I, thank God, we had on clothes that morning. We look up, he's walking into the living room because he has a key to my house, walks in, turns off the alarm, and starts working. I'm like, that's the kind of access he has. So having said that, guys, we're gone. I'm going to pray and make sure you do those 3 things I asked. Well, actually, he's going to pray. I'm going to back out. You want me to do it? Okay, well, I'm going to pray.
And the reason why, sir, excuse me for cutting you off. Thank you for that. That kind of stuff. I didn't tell you now I'm about to turn all these lights off. But anyway, there's a PK, ex-PK that is now grown, that is pastoring now. That while you're praying, you need to give them back their voice, because they didn't have this for when they were coming through. And so Zion and Tamarick kind of helped free their voice for a minute. And I would love if you would speak into their life, pray for them so that they can regain or heal from that hurt. Thank you, sir.
Father, tonight we stand, not just I alone, but Elder Kevin, Zion, Tamarick. We all stand solidly, and we pray for that PK that is broken because of ignorance and the ignorance of people. Lord, do not let them lose you because of a misrepresentative of who you are. Father, tonight we pray that you reach and touch them and touch their heart, that they can know the pureness of your love, that they can know there are no hidden motives or agendas. Father, touch them that they don't commit physical suicide or even spiritual suicide. Lord, let a grace find them wherever they are. Lord, do not let them turn to alternative means in order to medicate their angst, their anxiety, the pressure that does not belong to them. Do not let them turn to alcohol or drugs or sex or any of those things that's illicit that will do them harm. But Father, tonight we put out a clarion call. We send angels on assignment. We send their angels on assignment, that they go find them wherever they are and pull them back to the glory, pull them back to their parents, pull them back to the anointing, pull them back to who they are, pull them back, that they're able to stand and stand sure. Shore them up. Sota ba de esene. Shore them up, that they'll have a firm and a sure foundation. You said, Lord, that your word stands sure. And we thank you that this night they'll find their footing again. Thank you, sir. Hallelujah. That they'll be able to plant their feet again, that they will not slip, that they will not falter or fail. And Father, we also pray for their ears, that their ears are covered from any other sound other than your voice. And Lord, lastly, we uproot any bitterness that has set in their heart because of what they've been through and what they've experienced. Uproot it now. Shaya basetonaya. By the blood of Jesus. We plead the blood. Bata dosuta bendele. We plead the blood of Jesus over their hearts, over their life, and we command them to come back to you. We arrest them in the Holy Ghost, shake them at their core with your love and with your protection. Lord, let there be testimony that comes in through inboxes, through text messages. Let them say tonight was the night that something was said by Zion, by Tamaric, that something was said by someone, that something was posted that made them see and feel that there is hope. Tonight we pray for the hope. Fill them with hope now. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.